Welcome back to another episode of the 1216 Podcast, Manga Edition with One Piece. And we start off with chapter 1115, 1115, Pieces of a Continent. Starts off with us looking at Yamato, Hiyori, and Otoko all sitting down as Hiyori is preparing bento boxes and packing up lunches to be shipped out. But it looks really good. If you guys have not tried a bento box, you need to go look up a bento box near you. Call the restaurants around. They're so good. But to get right into the reason why Egghead is probably my favorite arc, and just why everything in Egghead is making you want to cry a little bit because you see that the end is near. This is what we're going through yet again. Hopefully we don't redo the voice entry and wipe this out as well. But who knows? We'll see when we get to that point. But let's get right into it. We see that the flower capital in Wano is looking on as they're listening to the stories that Egghead the stories from Egghead Island. So we have Dr. Vegapunk's message still going on, and Dr. Vegapunk is telling them about everything that's been going on. We ended it with the last chapter that the world is basically going to be flooded. It's going to be synced into the ocean, but not necessarily synced into the ocean. The sea levels are probably going to be risen, and I'll get into why that is. So Momonosuke all sitting on looking and just wondering what is even going on right now and how are they talking about it so much. So Momonosuke is wondering, so Joy Boy was a pirate, sounds just like Luffy, and he's trying to break it all down together because we know that Momonosuke has the voice of all things, so he knows Zonisha was telling him about it, as well as he's been a prophet, so he has to know a little bit about it. And Kinemon looks on and just says, "You've heard of him, my lord?" and questions it a little bit, but that's all we get from that part. Then we jump around to the naval base where we see the old gang that went around dressed as the Straw Hat Pirates. They're now dressed as the Kid Pirates, and they're all locked away inside jail. So they have the fake killer, um fake Heat, fake Kid, like all of the pretty much the former fake Luffy and his crew is now fake Kid and his crew. And they're talking about Joy Boy, blah blah blah, being able, being less strong than the captain that they currently have, and how their current captain, Captain Fake Kid, can beat up anybody and is actually stronger than them. And they'll leave that guy alone. He's already dead. And the captain that we love, Kid is the most genuine guy around. You tell about some, there's no way that I'm weaker than that Joy Ball and then Boy. So they called him a Joy Ball, but it's Boy come behind it. It's kind of funny with it. But we have that little spiel that we have from the fake Luffy's, which is now the fake Kid Pirates. And then we get right into it. Vegapunk knows that he's only read a few poneglyphs, but he found out that the records were taken from the Vast War. The Vast War meaning the Void Century, that long time ago, 900 years ago, when things are going on. And Joy Boy's enemy was the world government of the present day. And the Marines themselves are looking like, wait, we're the enemies? But then they're looking at it from the other sense of, oh, well, because he's a pirate, that will make sense for us to be the enemy. And of course, we know that the five elders know the truth. So, more accurately, what he was trying to say is that the world government that we currently have now was put together by a previous army of 20 kingdoms that all formed an alliance, which was the 20 kingdoms that ran and lived on top of Marijawa, basically. You might have no other idea of what the rubbish was Joy Boy's fiction. Anybody may think that Joy Boy's stuff, blah, 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 he had it, he did it, cool, but it's a lot more to it than what he was actually doing. Without even knowing that the cause of the war or how it even sparked, whether it was right or wrong, he simply stated that his ideologies came to his head to head. It was the switch up between good and evil. It was Joy Boy colliding with the five elders and the 20 kingdoms because there was a, ideology, a ideal phase that just set aside mind. Like, you know what? Maybe you guys are doing the wrong thing and you shouldn't be doing that. Which Joy Boy was seen as a traitor, most likely coming to it. So, of course, this is back 900 years ago. So, people inside the New World, like on Zonisha, you have the Minx pirates. They're looking on in shock and surprised that it was actually a civilization that was more advanced than our current civilization, and even the weapons that were used during the 100-year conflict appear to be impossible to recreate with this modern technology that we currently have because we went back to the Stone Ages. Everything else, if the world is sinking, that means that technology itself was destroyed or lost for that 100-year vast period, which could equate to a whole new civilization being born with lesser technology. As Vegapunk keeps going on, he says there lies a problem and is wondering what's going to be said right now, what's going to be up next. So we see the five elders are really up on the move right now. They're really wanting to stop this broadcast from happening. So we look over at Stutzi as she's inside the lavosphere still, and Edison calls in and tells her to lower the barrier. As Edison tells Stutzi to lower the barrier, she questions why. And Edison simply just says, if there's really an escape for the Straw Hat Pirates, they're going to figure it out like they said they were going to figure it out. It always happens. But there's no point to have a barrier anymore when there's guys up here right now, monsters even, that can get through the barrier and get past the barrier. Speaking of the five gurus, say, who just do whatever they want to do because of their mythical powers. They've done all they can do to help the Straw Hats escape. Now they take it inside their hands. We see Jinbei is still running back with Zoro on his back, and apologizing for the delays, of course. And Nami is scolding Zoro, saying that, you know, we bet not get smacked for this, and I might even smack you if we miss our chance to get off this ship, off this island. So hurry up. They're at the northeast coast right now. We see the Elbaf giant ship up there. We see Edison is on his last straw, maybe even about to die. Stutzi is relieved that she did everything she can do to help out, but now she's lost because without Estella around anymore, what does she have to do to live for? So Kaku is looking on, pretty much just not with a worrisome face, but Kaku is looking on at Stutzi like, I wonder what's her next move. But Stutzi seems to be at a whim. She might even just join the Straw Hat Pirates since she has nothing to live for where she's currently at. But with all this chaos going on, we see that Ethan Nostrum, one of the five gurus say, is running amok. And he has his katana out that can cut through anything. And Ethan is just going through, cutting everything that has a voice that he can hear. He's just listening through and trying to take everything out that he can take out. And he sees Bonnie and finally decides it's go time. and he swings at a slash coming towards Bonnie's way. As soon as this happens, Bonnie is using distorted powers, but Frankie saves the day and jumps in, and it looks like when he puts his arm out there, something gets detached. So Frankie's arm most likely just got cut off while saving Bonnie. And she says she can't hold this form much longer. So it looks like she's going to revert back to her old form. But then Vegapunk speaks of the Void Century and how it came with the close of the defeat of Joy Boy. So because Joy Boy was defeated, that marked the end of the long Void Century that we had that was going to start erasing everything from there. So Ethan listens on and takes off immediately to go see if he can stop this transmission now. And everyone's looking on what's going on, where is he going? Ethan flies to the sky, shoots out a giant slash, and just cuts up an entire building. And when he cuts the building off, we see the missing CP0 agents as well as the Seraphins start falling from the sky. And even the Marines that are listening on now are worried, like, what is this man even talking about? Ethan knew immediately he had to do something right now. So once Ethan made that slash, the Marines started questioning and thinking, what is Vegapunk even talking about? But not just the Marines, because the stuff that Vegapunk was saying started making sense. That this world that we live in, that we currently stand on, does not necessarily apply to the world of 1,000 years ago. Because something so diabolically, catastrophically calamity happened that caused the world to actually sink. But not really sink, it caused the sea levels to rise. And the sea levels rose 200 meters. And as people are listening on to this, they're wondering, like, wait, what is this guy talking about? Of course, there's an unseen world at the bottom of the sea. In fact, that, this is the past, but that number is ridiculous. 200 meters? Yes, 200 meters was risen from the sea level to above where the old world used to be at. So people are looking on like, no wonder this stuff vanished, but it's time to get back to work. Go rescue them. The fallen Cypher Pole and the Seraphins are out there. There's no need for us to do this. Go rescue them. People on Pirate Island are laughing up, saying that this old kook is really cracking them up. Then we go to the Cherry Blossom Kingdom, which is, of course, Chopper's homeland, and said, we have people looking on. How did that happen? Is there still, so much to learn about this world that we don't even know? So how is this happening? And people are looking on, wondering, like, why is this even a thing? There's a island in the background, or a mountain in the background of the Sakura Kingdom Island, or Cherry Blossom Island, that's about 200 meters tall. And people are imagining, like, the sea levels rose to the peak of that. But Vegapunk does not stop there. Vegapunk goes on and says that this was actually something that was man-made disaster level. And at that point, Big News Morgan is fed up because we jump around and see him. But of course, Vivi tells him to be quiet because she's trying to listen on right now. This is her past as well. The Nefertari clan was one of the 20 kingdoms. So of course Vivi has to know. Vivi D. Nefertari. Vegapunk dropped the biggest bombshell that nobody ever saw coming. The 5 elders look very, very much pissed. They need to stop this broadcast at any means necessary. Once Vegapunk stated that this was man-made by ancient weapon technology from 800 that sank the world of the sea of 800 years ago. So from that 900 to 800 void century, it was the sea levels rose. After that, 200 meters to basically try to hide and wipe away everything. But it still exists. Everything still exists at the bottom of the ocean. And that these ancient weapons of long time ago are still at work now. So it's time for people to really kick it into high gear and wonder right now to themselves or think about what's the next move. If this was man-made, who did it? Where is this ancient technology coming at? And how could this be avoided? But the war that arose from the void century never came to an end because the current world government system that we have right now is still doing their best with Sama and the Five Elders to cover up everything about Joy Boy, even though he was perceived to be gone. He's back in the form of Luffy, which is why Luffy took public enemy #1 spot, right up there with Vegapunk right now, because we know that Luffy is Joy Boy. Luffy is back now. Joy Boy is back now in the form of Monkey D. Luffy. Sama and the Five Girls say their war is not over. I cannot wait for next chapter to come out, because at the end of this we get Sama looking on with those eyes just looking very confused. Not confused, but I would say irritated or agitated. Coming to the end where it's time for us to actually leave Egghead Island. But how is this going to work out? We have all the Five Girls say around. We know for a fact that it's going to be a almost sudden game time decision for them as they get off this island. The crew is all still coming together now. We see that everybody's meeting up at the meetup points. It's time to take off. Edison did what he can right before. He's probably going to end up dead because he's on his last breaths. But the Five Girls say are pissed. They're out for blood. Time to destroy everything inside their way. And Sama itself is looking on or listening on to this and probably thinking it's time for another world-changing event. But we're going to see what happens next. Once we come back to it, we have the Zoro light novel coming out soon. I cannot wait for that to happen. I'm going to make sure that I do a review with that with you guys as well. And we'll be back. This is 12. With his mind fucking blown. Signing off.